Great win for us. I mean, similar to what I said last time, it's great because it's the next one on our schedule, and we built the schedule to bring good teams in here. And great respect for Pennsylvania. Tough opponent to scout because obviously with the for a couple of reasons. For what the Ivy League had to go through last season and not having a season, so we had to go back 2 years to kind of figure out what they did. I actually this summer randomly watched the game from the last time they came to EBA. It's also tough because Florida State plays such a different brand of basketball. That for instance, we didn't know any of their OB underplays because Florida State plays such a different OB defense. So we were scrambling, going back 3-4 years to try to get some familiarity to what they did. This morning, I actually watched a 2009 first round of the NCAA tournament. It was the last time I seen Steve Donahue. I was a freshman at Missouri. He was at Cornell. They had a back-to-back NCAA tournament just to find some familiarities to what they do. They're a really good, really well-coached team, really good offensive team. But great win, proud of our guys, proud of their resolve. And they made some threes in the second half. Our guys stuck to it. They continued to execute on both sides of the ball and play incredibly unselfish on offense. And they played to our rules. They played to our mission on both sides of the ball.
Questions for the players first?
Schwartz. You got cooking in the first half. Apparently, guys were going to. They saw that you had a mismatch and you exploited it. How does that feel when people have confidence in you to go get a bucket over somebody and the whole team and the coaching staff pushes you to do it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun out there. When you know you got it going and you can get a bucket when you need to, hit the open shots, it's really contagious too. You start seeing other guys start hitting shots and it just makes it fun brand of basketball.
So these are the players. They run a lot of stuff offensively. I mean, did some of that shock you? I mean, they went to some Princeton stuff. They went 5 out, down low. They were cutting on the ball side, opposite side. It's a lot of different stuff. Were you guys, did any of that shock you?
No, I mean, we scouted them a little bit, and we knew they were going to run some Princeton offense, and they have some really good individual players, and they run a lot of off-ball action. And so we just play to our principles, like Coach said, and just try to keep your head on the swivel, look out for back cuts, flares, whatever.
Everyone else good? Thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Make sure the camera gets what this is before
Okay, Coach, you mentioned the challenge of scouting this team. They threw a lot at you. How did you think your guys did in the first half? I thought you played very good defense. They were locked in, but how would you rate them?
Yeah, held them to 33% in the first half. Guarded them well. They had a rough go at it to get their second bucket. I feel like they were stuck on 2 for a while. Yeah, they did run a lot of stuff. Nate Thomason did a great job with this scout. Coach Simpkins, the last one, and Coach Felton, the next. And ironically, 3 teams that have coaches that have a pretty extensive Princeton background. Kevin Brodus from his time with Coach Thompson at Georgetown, obviously Coach Donahue and Gino Ford. So pretty consistent patterns we've been guarding in practices and walkthroughs heading into this game. The second half, they were throwing a lot of wrinkles. Actions they were running in the first half with a lot of counters. And that's where our principles had to reign through. And, and obviously, we have to get better. Some areas, one of our keys to this game was understanding personnel assignments. And we don't want good shooters to have bad shooting games, right? We don't want them to get attempts. And Jonah Charles, 6 for 12 from 3. Coming in this game, like 100% of his shots in his career have been from 3. We went back to high school. Almost 100% of his shots in his lifetime have been from 3. And for him to get off 12, that's some things we have to do better. We're going to play great shooters all year. And Again, we don't want them to have bad shooting games. You know, we don't want them to get attempts off. But, you know, our guys really accepted the challenge. You know, the layman may look at this stat sheet and say that Jordan Dingle had 20 for as long as I'm here. If a guy needs 22 shots to get 20 points, we're fine with that. We did a good job on him.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about the moment in the second half when you guys had a 12-0 run and forced a timeout and you were waving up to the crowd, getting people on their feet? Just talk about that moment, and what would your message be to the fans of Mason right now?
I'm so proud of our students. I mean, I'm so proud of our students. It's awesome to see they're here early. I mean, that thing was filled to the top, you know, 25 minutes before tip and 35 minutes before tip, and that's awesome. And could hear them chanting defense. I caught myself clapping defense. I caught myself clapping. The atmosphere was great, and you know, our guys are giving Mason Nation everything they have. I mean, diving on the floor, taking charges, playing unselfish. They're empowered to shoot the ball from anywhere on the court. They work incredibly hard on their games. You know, I want us, you know, here in Fairfax to feed off of each other. You know, we are giving everything for our fans, and we want them to feed the floor just as well. And I hurt my this, whatever this is, when I gave it away. Oblique, I don't know. I hurt.
Coach, you only had one less turnover than them, but you doubled them up in points off turnovers. You talk about how Johnson and the guys were able to push that in transition. You guys seemed, every time there's a loose ball, seemed like X was there to pick it up, and he's either finishing or finding somebody on the other side.
Yeah, you know, disappointed. Some of those turnovers were there at the last. And I talked to those guys, those young guys, about opportunity. Opportunity is not a lengthy visitor. And those minutes, it's not garbage time. I played those minutes as a young player. I played those minutes in the NBA. Those minutes are valuable because, you know, we operate this program, we're always evaluating. Every practice, every walkthrough, every film session, every lift, every condition, and especially games. We're always evaluating. So, you know, we're not going to stop grading this film when we watch tonight at that moment. So some of those turnovers were late. Some of those turnovers were early. Davon Cooper now, the back-to-back game's a little liberal with his passing early. And, you know, he's too good for that. He's too good of a player. He's been around too much to be, you know, so loose with his ball. We want to be a rock-solid team on both sides of the ball. We believe we can play fast and still be efficient. You know, we practice that way every day. I like an up-tempo game. I want to get a lot of shots. They got 7 more shots than us, and you know, a lot of those were from those turnovers there at the last.
It's apparent these first 2 games that you're into enabling and supporting people around you, pushing them forward. To that end, you also let your assistant coaches do the radio show, I'm assuming, after the game.
Yeah.
Talk about that. I mean, a lot of guys would want all of that attention for themselves.
Yeah, no, it's not about me. It's not about me. I'm obviously the leader of the program, but I think, you know, when Brad and I sat down and talked about this thing, I talked about players we get, I talked about the staff we'd hire, and you know, I think if you hire really well, and I think we have a great staff, a high-level staff, and you know, I want them to shine. I want them to do what they're brought here to do. I trust them, you know, deeply. You know, I wanted to switch up something at an OB one day, and OB one time out today, and all 3 assistants said no, and I was like, all right, we won't. You know, because they had conviction of why not, and you know, we did, and it worked out. It was a spell, you know, where I felt like they were rolling in the second half, and I peeked. I asked for a stat sheet, and they were shooting 65% in the second half, and to see that number drop to 44, which is above our goal mark. We want to keep teams below 40. We did the job. From that moment, it was at 66 to finish 22%. Last or whatever it was, 24, whatever it was. That's good.
Anything else for Coach? Okay, thanks, Kevin.
Thanks.
Thank you, Coach.